Morning guys, welcome back to our garden podcast for a bit of a different one this morning. So my mate Mark, who's done a lot for me in the past regarding the channel and everything, he's decided to move house. Now he's well into his tropical gardening, as am I, and he's got one huge specific flower bed or planted bed that he wants to take with him to the new place. So I've offered him my hand and we're going to try and dig it all up this morning. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning, it's about 2 degrees, so it's freezing cold, but it's a good time to move bits like that. In the bed is I think a 12-year-old tree fern, he said, Fatsia, I think he's already removed, olive tree, and amongst this are some absolutely monstrous Musa BASJOO banana plants. I'm talking the trunks are about probably 10-11 foot. And then the leaves on top as well, so fingers crossed he's going to let me have a couple. So I'm going there now. I'll film some if I can of what we're doing, and we'll try and make a video of it for you. So I'll see you at Mark's. Okay, so this is the bed. Now you've got a huge Chimerops humilis, you've got the Fatsia at the back there. That's the small bunch of bananas. You can see here he's already taken a Fatsia and the olive tree out of the bed there. You can see the olive tree that's potted up at the back. Now these are the monster bananas. Look at the size of those in the summer. Absolutely massive. As I say, the main stems without the leaves are probably getting on, it's got to be 10 foot. You can see they're absolutely huge, and you can imagine those with in full leaf. Crazy, crazy. I think they've been in the ground about 12 years, Mark said, and that's a small bunch there. Now, there's the Chimerops. Now behind here is the tree fern. Now it's got a trunk of about 3 foot. It's been in 12 years, so that could be a bit of a challenge getting that out. I know the roots on these are quite, they almost mat together, so they can be quite stubborn to get out, especially when they've been in a good few years like this one has. So yeah, we'll start with these first, and then I think we'll move on to the bananas. When I got to Mark's, he'd actually already started digging this one up, so it only took about 20 minutes to get out of the ground, so it wasn't too much bother. But as you guys know that have probably dug these up before, they're super spiky, so removing the lower leaves was a good idea, and obviously we wore gloves because it got a bit sore. But there you can see the gap there and the revealing of the tree fern. It's a bit of a shame that it was in that bed actually, because obviously these aren't cheap plants at all. You're probably looking at 300 quid for a tree fern that size. So when you're spending that sort of money on a plant, you do want to see the whole plant, and the trunks are super cool. So yeah, it'd be nice to get that in an area in his new place where he can enjoy the whole plant. So the idea being is dig up this bed and pot everything up. Mark's got about 2 weeks to go until he moves, so he's going to keep these stored in this corner here, just out of the wind. You see him potting up the Fatsia. Now we didn't get a lot of root ball on that, so fingers crossed it'll be all right. But we'll probably halve that, give it its best chance. It should be okay. They're pretty bomb-proof. Now roots on tree ferns, they almost mat together like quite a tough fibrous root. So they're not always easy to get through. Now, I advise if you're going to move a tree fern that's been in the ground, you know, this sort of time, this is 12 years, take as much of the root ball as you can. And they're quite heavy, especially when the soil's damp as well. But yeah, take as much of the root ball as you possibly can, mainly to give it some stability when you're replanting. The heavier the plant, the less chances you've got it of blowing over. And it does give it more chance of survival, obviously, the more roots you can get. Where me and Mark both live, down on the southeast coast, it is one of the warmer parts of the UK. We don't have savage winters like we used to, or you northern boys. And Mark's garden is almost its own microclimate. It's really sheltered, and it hardly sees a frost really. And as you can see by the fronds on the tree fern, what are we now? First weekend in February, and it looks like it's middle of summer. There's not one frond that's browned off or died back. So it's just a case of being a little bit delicate with the fronds, because we didn't want to ruin the look of the plant if we could help it. moving plants this size and weight is definitely a two-man job though, so I'd highly advise getting a mate to help you or something, because I think this would have taken Mark probably 2-3 days if he was doing it on his own. Plus, I don't think one man could lift a tree fern on its own anyway. You can see the weight of that there. You're just going to do yourself an injury. I asked Mark if he protects the tree ferns, because as you know, if you are growing tree ferns, it is a good idea to put a bit of fleece or straw in the crown. But he said no, he's never, in 12 years, he's never protected it. And you can see there the natural way that the fern does protect itself by, collecting leaves. Right, so now the fun part, and the reason why you guys have probably clicked on this video, tackling these ginormous mooses. Now, we weren't quite sure how we were going to tackle this. It was one of those jobs where you just had to kind of just take it as it went. We don't know how heavy they were going to be. Obviously, they were huge, and they're mainly made up of water, so we knew that they were going to be an absolute mission. But you can see here, I mean, the camera doesn't do it justice, so we got the tape measure out, but you can see the trunk circumference of best part of 2 foot. These were absolutely huge. We had a little chat beforehand, just to see what the best plan of action was to be. So we decided to take them out individually. I think it would have been impossible to take more than 2 at a time in one clump anyway, purely because of the weight. So we decided to, like I say, take them out singly. Now, it meant taking out the smaller ones first from the outside. We decided to move from the outside into the middle. Obviously, it's an easier way of doing it. Start with the smaller ones and work out what we were, whether it was the best way to do it. Now, we decided to use a saw, mainly being it's more accurate. Now, because they're so tightly condensed trunks, it meant you could get the saw in between the trunks and get right down into that corm. Now, these are only the little small ones. I think they're probably pups from last year. So once we remove those, you can see you can get as much root ball and as much of the corm as you can. It gives it the best chance. Now, that was a good one, but that was just the baby one. Now, you can see here the pup, or the offset, which has come from the corm of the mother plant. You can see the size of it there. You can see the size and the weight of these getting bigger. I probably shouldn't have picked that up by myself, but there you go. And again, get as much of the root ball as you possibly can, as much of that corm, because it's that corm that stores the energy for the plant the following year and what produces your pups. Now, when you're tackling these bigger plants, I would have said above 5-6 foot trunks, it is a good idea just to lose these leaves. They're last year's growth, they're never going to come back, they look tatty, they've got to come off anyway. You're not going to lose much height in a plant this size anyway, and it just makes the whole job a whole lot easier if you've got more space. It means you can access the lower plants as well. Now, you can see here the white fleshy material, which is called the corm. That's what you need. You need as much of that as you possibly can, as well as the roots. So you can see here there's a great mass of both, which is going to give this plant the best chance. You can see there where I've cut into the main mother, and you can see why you wouldn't have been able to remove these as one big clump. They're absolutely huge. You can see this clump here has started to fire ones out through the brickwork and into the soakaway. So these really did need to, I think if Mark wasn't moving this year anyway, these would have had to have come up, because they're going to end up causing damage to the house and the drain system potentially. We got to a point where removing the smaller, or not smaller ones, but the middle-sized ones were just getting too heavy. One man couldn't lift them on his own, and you can see here we've had to lose some height and lose some weight. But you can, as you can see, it's a real struggle, but one we hope is going to be worth it. Now, when we were removing all the leaves, we didn't realise that we'd cut a flower off. Now, this is what a banana flower looks like. Once the plant's flowered, it will die. But in the UK, especially in the warmer plants, they will produce. You'll never get full-size bananas unless we have an extraordinarily hot, long summer. But this is off the back of an average summer in the UK, down on the southeast coast. There's Mark eating one. But yeah, it's quite surprising. So we unwrapped this banana just to show you guys what these plants can do in the UK. There you go, guys. The world's smallest banana. Grown by Mark. Now, this is my car. Mark was good enough to give me 2 of the larger bananas. You can see there, I've just crammed them in the car. This car's used for absolutely everything. Poor thing is, I've had bamboos in it, all trees, all sorts of things. But it does the job. You can see here. Yeah, good lad. Hopefully they'll come back. And we also got some of the corms and offsets that broke off when we were digging up. Because you never know, these things do. If they've got root and corm on them, then you can potentially grow more plants from them. There's Mark giving me a little wash off. It was absolutely caked in mud and water by the time he'd finished. But no, it was a great day. I've come away with 2 huge bananas, so yeah, happy days.
Right, we're done. As you saw by the video, it was an absolute mission. But we got there, I'm absolutely soaked. Had a little shower from Mark, as you saw at the end there, cleaning my shoes, but I've come away with two probably 6 to 7 foot trunk bananas, so hopefully they'll get going and there's enough root ball on them to see them through and they'll survive and we'll have a good show for the summer months. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. It was, like I say, a bit of a sporadic one, but one I wanted to document for myself and Mark anyway. So right, I'm off to the pub because I'm absolutely knackered. Cheers for clocking in again, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Ta-da!